Today's episode of Variant is brought to you by Domain.com. Today on Variant, I answer the age-old question, can Batman beat Superman? Welcome to Variant. We love comics more than I wish they would bring back the soda of my childhood, Surge. Oh, sweet nectar. How you've been missed. I'm your host, Arris. Today I'm going to be talking about one of the most argued battles in all of comic books, Batman versus Superman. And unlike the versus episodes I do, I'm going to be telling you who I think would win in this battle that's been argued in comic shops and on the internet for years. As I just said, this matchup is one of the most famous battles in comic books, if not the most famous battle. And with the Batman v Superman movie currently being shot, this battle/debate has become more popular than ever. So I wanted to give my 2 cents on the topic. But before I do, I'm talking about a one-on-one fight with the two of them, so neither of them could have any help from anyone else. It's going to be a one-on-one fight the way it should be. And we'll say Batman can have prep time. With that said, I'm going to Quentin Tarantino this and tell you who I think would win up front, followed by my reasoning and examples from the comics on why I chose that person as the winner. Now, you all know I'm a huge Batman fan and that he's my favorite superhero. Actually, he's my favorite fictional character in general. I've made that apparent on the show numerous amount of times before. With that said, and not being biased, the winner would be Superman. And now a bunch of diehard Batman fans are like, what? No way. Batman is smarter, so he would outsmart Superman, or he would use kryptonite or a mech suit like he did in The Dark Knight Returns. And I see where you're coming from. Like I said, Batman is my favorite superhero, but even I have to admit, Batman does have his limits, and Superman is definitely one of them. I think a big reason why Batman fans think Batman would win is because he is known to always find a way to win or overcome any obstacle, which is true like 99% of the time, but at the end of the day, he is still a human and has his limits. I mean, just think about it. Bane is nowhere near as strong as Superman, and he broke Batman's back and put Batman out of commission for a while. So just imagine what Superman would do. Also, I just want to take a minute and give a brief rundown of Batman and Superman's powers. Let's start with Batman. Batman is agile, strong, and in the peak of physical condition. His IQ is said to rival that of Albert Einstein. He's a master of over 100 different styles of martial arts and was taught by the best in weapons and combat training. Batman has also proven himself the first and one of the only human beings to ever be respected among the gods. You know you're a BAMF when you're respected by gods. He is incredibly wealthy and has a numerous amount of gadgets and vehicles, and as every Batman fan knows, he's even in possession of a green kryptonite ring given to him by Superman in case he ever needed to stop him from going rogue. Batman is definitely one tough dude and has gone head-to-head with some of the most BA beans in the DC universe. As for Superman, he has super speed, coming in just a little bit slower than the Flash, super strength, which has been depicted as essentially limitless in the comics. I mean, he could freaking lift and move planets. Also, super agility, he could fly, he has heat vision, frost breath, amongst other powers like having enhanced senses like hearing, eyesight, and so on. He also has impenetrable steel-like skin, hence the nickname Man of Steel. Now, just listing their powers and stats back to back, most people would be like, yeah, there's no contest, Superman would win all day long. But to further my opinion on why I don't think Batman would win, I'm going to be talking about the 2 most popular fights the 2 characters have had in the comics. The fight at the end of the Dark Knight Returns storyline, and their fight in the Batman Hush storyline. Also, I may mention spoilers from each of those storylines, so you've been warned. Let's start with the Dark Knight Returns storyline, which is what the upcoming Batman v Superman movie is loosely based off of. In every argument I've ever heard about the two duking it out, the fight at the end of Frank Miller's epic Dark Knight Returns storyline gets brought up, which puts the 2 heroes against one another, fighting on the streets of Gotham. In The Dark Knight Returns, Batman has an elaborate plan to take out Superman. He had to use a robotic suit that gave him super strength and a hard outer shell so Superman's blows wouldn't kill him upon impact. His plan also involved Green Arrow to shoot an arrow at Clark that's laced in kryptonite at the right point during the fight. After Clark was shot by the arrow, Bruce gave his famous "remember the one man who beat you" speech and then faked a heart attack. Superman was going to recover from the effects of the kryptonite and prepare himself for another round as Bruce supposedly suffered from a heart attack. Everyone thought Batman was dead, but Superman heard his heartbeat at his funeral and let him go about his business. So technically that doesn't really count as a win for Batman. Yeah, he kept up with Superman in the fight, and yeah, he had an amazing plan to stop Superman, but he did not win the fight. He faked a heart attack as Superman was recovering. And Superman didn't really want to fight or kill Batman. Take for instance the panel I'm currently showing you on the screen right now. If Superman really wanted to win this fight, he could have just used his heat vision at this very instance and put a hole right through Bruce's head. Or this panel where Bruce is even saying, wrist crushed, ribs moving with a life of their own, and Clark just broke a sweat. Now if Oliver doesn't screw up. So Batman is even implying that Superman has just got started. Plus, one of the most important parts here is Batman had help from Oliver, aka Green Arrow. So let's go on the other side of the argument and say Batman did win this fight. He didn't do it alone. He had help from Green Arrow. And as I said, we're talking about a one-on-one fight, which means Batman would be disqualified for having outside help. Moving on to Batman Hush, which is where we get the famous panel where Batman punches Superman in the jaw with the kryptonite ring. It looks like Batman is wiping the floor with him, but what us Batman fans forget to mention is Batman's internal dialogue on the next page. The dialogue reads, "If I hit him again, I'll shatter every bone in my hand. The Kevlar only protects so much." Not to mention, Batman himself realizes Clark is fighting the mind control of Poison Ivy, meaning Superman isn't putting 100% effort into every hit. So Batman needs to figure out a way to get Superman to snap out of it, because if he doesn't, imagine what a 100% hit would be like from Superman. Of course, Batman does figure out a way to stop Superman and even says, "I knew he would be fighting her while he was fighting me. It's probably why I still have a head attached to my shoulders." So Batman is even saying Superman would take his head off. Now, while those are two of the most popular stories people use to justify that Batman would and or has won before, us Batman fans never want to mention the many stories where Superman has beat the crap out of Batman, like the storyline Superman Sacrifice. In it, Superman, while under mind control, pummels Batman, hospitalizing him, putting him in critical condition. Then you have the storyline Lex Luthor Man of Steel, where Superman defeats a kryptonite-armed Batman by using his super breath from far away to blow Batman off a building, only for Superman to fly him up in the sky, and then drop him only for Superman to fly back down and knock Batman out. Now, some of you may be saying, "Whoa, Arris, you're sounding like a real Superman fanboy right now," and that's not the case at all. Like I've said, and people who've been watching the show for a while now know, Batman is by far my favorite superhero. But me and all other Batman fans have to put aside our love for the Dark Knight and look at the situation without being biased. And if you do that, I think you'll realize Batman wouldn't win in a one-on-one fight. Even if Batman had prep time, he still wouldn't win, which was the case in The Dark Knight Returns. But if you do want to say he did win, he didn't do it alone. And that's not a bad thing that Batman would lose. I mean, a big reason why so many people like him is because he's human, and all humans have their limits, even Batman. So I say to all my fellow Batman fans, let's put our love for the Caped Crusader aside and realize that Batman would not be able to beat Superman in a one-on-one fight. I mean, think about it. Superman wouldn't even have to touch Batman or even be near him. He could just use his heat vision from like a mile away and lobotomize Batman. And there's a bunch of other scenarios just like that. But that's just my 2 cents on the topic. So if you agree with me, awesome. If you don't, that's cool too. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, which is what makes talking about this stuff fun. The only thing I ask is be nice to one another in the comment section below. Just because you don't agree with someone doesn't justify attacking them personally. When you buy a domain name from domain.com, you get the power to influence and control what people find when they search for you online. No domain extension will help you tell your story like a .com or .net domain name. Domain.com is affordable, reliable, easy to use, and a bunch of other good things. The guys at Domain.com gave Variant an awesome offer. Get 15% off Domain.com's already affordable domain names and web hosting when you use the coupon code Variant at checkout. So when you think domain names, think Domain.com. First up for Wednesday, September 3rd, we have Hawkeye vs. Deadpool issue 0. Deadpool vs. anyone is always entertaining, so basically all you need to know is this comic has Deadpool and versus in the title. Here we have Detective Comics Futures End issue 1. Batman takes his war on crime to the next level, but he needs the help of his greatest ally, the Riddler. And finally we have Justice League issue 33. This is the shocking conclusion to the Injustice League. Well, that brings another episode of Variant to a close. Before I leave you guys, I want to let you know we've picked 15 winners for the Jack of All Trades t-shirt giveaway. So keep an eye out on your YouTube inbox as I will message the 15 winners on how they can receive their prize of a t-shirt of their choosing, like this one. But if you didn't win, still check out their website for some awesome comic book shirts. I put the link in the description below. Until next week, however, you can like our Variant Facebook page to keep up with the show and all things comic related. You could also follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/Arris_Quinones. But I will see you guys next week when I talk about all things comics. Let's have a staring competition. First one to blink loses. Ready, go. Oh, that was pitiful. That was really bad. I suck. You probably won.